Over the past 5 years, I've had to explore various study techniques just to maximize my efficiency in medical school. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the top 5 study techniques I use in medical school. Obviously, these techniques have been tested and trusted, and I believe they have contributed to my ability to study smartly and not harder. For those of you new here, I'm Lawal Sanusi. I'm a final year medical student, and let's go to my top 5 study techniques. The first study technique is the SQ3R method. From the name itself, the S stands for survey, the Q is for question, and the 3R means you have to read, recite, and review. So for the survey, it just means that you have to look at the study material, try to get a whole general, have a mental picture of whatever you want to read. Then the question means that you have to set questions. What are the things I want to answer at the end of the study session? So for instance, if I'm studying postpartum hemorrhage, at the end of the examination, the reading, I want to answer questions like the definition, the risk factors, the clinical features and stuff. So just try and set a few questions. Then you actually read the study material itself. Then go ahead to recite. The recite just means that you are trying to recall whatever you've read. And at this point, you are trying to answer those questions you initially set. Then you have to then review it at a later date so that you can better put that particular concept into memory. When I started using this particular technique, the level of the survey, I split it into 2 levels. The first level being that I want to know which particular textbook or study material will be beneficial to me. And the second level of survey will be that I want to look within this particular study material or textbook and have an idea of the particular topic I want to read. So what this does is that it minimizes the amount of time or unnecessary time I spend on materials that might not be beneficial to me. So for instance, if I'm to study physiology, in my first level of survey, I might end up using Ganon, and my second level of survey, I want to look within Ganon and have an idea of the topic I want to read. And this will just make my learning very easy and simple. At the level of the question, what I do here is that I set objectives, and these objectives can also be gotten from the textbooks. These objectives will serve as goals or things that you want to achieve at the end of your reading session, so that when you are trying to recall at the level of the recite, you ask yourself, can you explain those particular objectives? If you cannot, then you have to go back and read that particular study material. And when you are trying to review this level, it just means that you have to revise or try to remember whatever you've learned over a long period of time, so that whatever you've read can stick to your memory. All in all, this method is good for studying very difficult topics, and also it makes you very realistic with your time. The second technique is the Feynman technique, which was named after Richard Feynman, a renowned physicist. In this technique, first of all, it entails that you study, you teach, you review, and also simplify. Under the level of the study, it just means that you have to get time to actually study whatever you want to learn. Then teaching means that you try explaining whatever you've read to someone, and this will help you identify gaps in whatever you've read. Then you go back to the study material for review. At this point, you are trying to fix or fill in those gaps. Then at the level of the simplify, you try to explain whatever you've read in simple words. And to quote Albert Einstein, if you can't explain something to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. So during my early years in medical school, I usually feel I have a good understanding of a particular topic, only to forget it in a few days. So what this technique has done is that it has helped me identify gaps within whatever I've read, fill in those gaps, and then create a very good neural connection between various ideas and concepts. Also, with the active recall and critical thinking that comes with this technique, I'm able to find various ways of using a particular information or concept in medical school. The third technique is the Pomodoro technique. The name Pomodoro comes from the Italian word Pomodoro, which just means tomato. So generally what this technique entails is that you have a fixed amount of time for studying, then you take a break. Then you repeat that cycle of studying and taking a break. Then after about 4 cycles, you take a very longer break than you were taking initially. So the initial technique consists of 25 minutes of active studying and 5 minutes of break. And after about 4 cycles, the break is extended to 15 to 20 minutes. But the technique can be modified to suit your situation. In my case, I felt the amount of time I used for active studying was not enough, so I had to extend it and also add a little bit of time to the break. So for instance, I usually do 1 hour of active studying, then 10 minutes break. Then after about 4 cycles, I can extend the 10 minutes to maybe 20 to 30 minutes. With this method, I'm able to improve my focus during the study sessions and also minimize any distractions. And also with the breaks serving as a motivation, I'm able to increase my concentration and better understand whatever I'm reading. The last two study techniques actually go hand in hand. That's spaced repetition and active recall. For spaced repetition, it just means that over an extended period of time, you will try revising whatever you've learned at an interval. And during this revision period, you use active recall rather than reading the whole thing over again. This saves you time, improves your long-term memory, prevents you from cramming, and also increase your efficiency. So with a spaced repetition, you might not have to do it yourself because we have apps with algorithm built to just do that for you. An example is Anki, which a lot of people actually use, and I think is very, very good. And also for the active recall, you might want to consider using flashcards and practice tests so as to help you actively recall whatever you've learned and help it stay in your memory over a long time. So these are my top 5 study techniques that I've used in medical school that have made me very efficient. We have the SQ3R method, the Pomodoro technique, the Feynman technique, the spaced repetition, and active recall. For those of you that have other techniques that works for you, try commenting below. Also, if you found this video very helpful, try commenting below, like, and subscribe. See you next time. Bye.